Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. I want to give a big shout out and happy Valentine's Day to my viewers. I love you guys, and I want to share this with you. I choose you. I think this was given to me today by a colleague, and I thought that was so cute. The puppies like gnawing on each other. I choose you. This is what real love is about. Also, this is what real love is about. Flowers and chocolate and a baby's breath. You can just see, and there's nothing as sweet as a rose. So I want you to know that really love more feels inside like something that's sweet and fragrant, yet it's alluring, yet it's something that just really draws you in, and it's a vibrant passion, and it's something that you choose, right? I choose you. So love is a choice, and we focus on a lot of difficult and complicated relationships here on the channel. And I really want to keep it lighthearted and remember and encourage you to keep your recovery lighthearted in your journey as well, because oftentimes what we go through, really the healing process, the self-discovery process, which is really what it's all about, can really feel like a very heavy sort of some experience. And, people are trying to emerge from it. They're trying to come out of it. They're trying to understand it. And it's really kind of like an unfolding within, very much like the rose that we just looked at. It's something that was originally all tied up, and then eventually you begin to open up. And as you open up, then you share really yourself, and you share that inner fragrance, and you really share that Holy Spirit, which is really part of love, which is what it really is. And it's a choice and it is a permission. And so I want to encourage you to explore that when we talk about your relationships with a disordered individual, and how difficult, how complicated, how painful, how crazy it can be. And to really just try to look at the element of choice and realize that life is really about the unfolding, and it's about the choices that you make, and it's expansive. So if you're kept in too small a cocoon, too limited or isolated an environment with this individual, and you feel yourself pulling and tugging like a tug of war, and then the fights tend to escalate, look at some of the dynamics that we discussed here: the scapegoating, the blame shifting, a lot of those sort of really melodramatic fights that can occur between people. And if it's a coming together, and if it's a working things out, and then you moving together successfully, then that's one thing. But if it's a lot of tug and war, and you're really trying to live your life, in order to prevent their outbursts or their tension, their narcissistic rage, and you feel like this heavy weight that is upon you, and things you just can't really see through. Oftentimes the fights tend to linger on. The heaviness seems to linger on, and it's not as sweet. It's not as fragrant. It's not as expansive, and you don't have those multiple layers, and you feel like you're being clammed up, as they say, cramp your style. Then it's really important to look at the dynamics of the relationship. And a viewer and a client of mine had asked a very important question, and I want to address this in this video, so hopefully she's watching. And that is really, when you're going through the scapegoating phase, the triangulation phase, the gaslighting, and you really don't know that this is occurring, how can you raise your awareness? How can you heighten your consciousness to realize what's going on? And it's very important, I would say, to understand that one thing you can identify with a narcissistic or psychopathic relationship, and I know I've been lumping this a lot together as of recent, and there's a very different, there's a whole wide spectrum, but I just want to address that in this video as kind of an overall perspective for those people who have been kind of on the exploitation side of that, for you to understand, why. How did this occur, and how can you furthermore open your eyes to this occurring in the future? And you can realize that oftentimes, if in the beginning of the relationship, if you look back and you're constantly having to work hard to prevent outbursts on the behalf of the narcissist or the psychopath, that you are having to constantly, what they call, walk on eggshells. If you're constantly receiving the narcissistic rage, the outburst, the criticism, and it's not sitting right with you, and you find that your life is all about trying to predict and prevent the next outburst, so you're no longer directing your life, you're constantly trying to maneuver and like feng shui yourself around in the relationship so that you can prevent the next outburst, you can prevent the next criticism, you can basically shield the next tirade from them, or shield the next triangulation, and you're constantly having to put up your defenses. Remember, your defenses are like it's like putting your dukes up, like you're constantly ready to fight. And especially the psychopath, they love a good fight. I mean, they are like, bring it on. I mean, they love a fight. They'll provoke a fight. They'll start a fight. You can be at a family gathering. You can be at a work function. There's a fight being started. Just picking out of, anywhere, nowhere. And it's humiliating. It gets really, really stupid after a while, to coin a technical term. It gets really, really nonsensical. I mean, just the extent of fighting. And it's really the understanding that life is too precious for you to waste events and months and years and really kind of the exploration of your life moving forward. And so, when it comes to that, realize that, and do I have my glass? But if you were to hold something up, even this rose, if you were to hold this rose up for, 2 minutes, it would feel, it's very light. This is a very light rose, okay? But if you were to hold this up for an hour, and then maybe 2 hours, and then maybe 3 hours, or 8 hours, and you were to constantly hold this, your arm is going to fatigue. If you were to constantly have your dukes up and be, ready to fight, you're going to fatigue. You can't be in that state for too long, no matter how little it is that you're holding. If you're constantly just trying to hold up these defenses, it's like a glass of water. You can tip it, but if you're holding on to it for 4 hours, eventually you're going to need to let it go. And that's what I'm suggesting on this day of Valentine's Day, to let it go. Let go of all that strife. Let go of all that guilt and burden and that hypervigilance. Let go of that paranoia. Let go of that trying to prevent the next outburst through everything that you do. And I just had that insight as really an important thing, because if you're always trying to anticipate the next outburst, the next criticism, and you're constantly trying to adapt and react to that and act in your life so that you're not receiving those criticisms anymore, you've just basically, you're basically just at the mercy of this narcissistic criticizer, criticism and beratement and humiliation, of course, designed to dominate. And so I would encourage you to let that go 100%. Because even like the rose, I mean, you can hold it up for so long, but if you continue to hold on to that, or hold it in your system, or hold it in your sight, it's eventually going to fatigue you and break you down. And also I wanted to share with you this great, I got from the Chinese food. Can you see that? Basically it says, our perception and attitude toward any situation will determine the outcome. Our perception and attitude toward any situation will determine the outcome. Great philosophical statement. And basically what that means is our perception is, again, when we talk about, I'm just tying all this stuff in here. So when I talk on the channel about conditioning yourself moving forward versus being really injured by the past and the flashbacks and the memories and things like that are holding you down and keeping you stuck and feeling, causing that deliberation and that dilemma and that discord and that dissonance within you. Realize that it's your perception and attitude towards any situation that's going to determine the outcome. So very much like I discussed here on the channel, you create your future. It's not about just only finding your future or finding peace. It's about creating it. It's an active state. So you actively need to bring in that healing into your life. You need to take those steps. You need to do your affirmations. You need to do your recovery journal. You need to do some reading. You need to do your recovery dates. You need to have an accountability partner. Make sure that you're staying on top of these things. Take time to feel the lighter emotions. Laugh, giggle, do something silly. Do a hand drawing. Do something silly. Skip through the house. Do something that lightens up your mood. This is, about coming from within and emerging and opening up from within to really work and shed that burden and that hurt and that constant pathological shame that is really thrust on you by these individuals, and really makes holidays like Valentine's Day very difficult. I know a lot of people are very heartbroken. So it's time to put your heart back together. It's time to just mend it and heal it and get it whole moving forward, so that you can then bring that to life. And if this person has betrayed you and violated you, just take the arrow right out, that they had flung at you, and have your heart heal. You have to nurture it. You have to be active in creating that healing in your life. And do those recovery dates. Do your affirmations. Focus on the lessons learned and really look at those. You have to be committed to your healing for it to really come together for you. And trust me, it will. And it will pay off in dividends once you're open up to receive that. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.